time to shuffle up. With Duncan, Jeff, and Sloan, let's fill our cups. Commander decks in hand, the battle's about to start. A podcast for the legends, where magic meets the heart. Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold. With heroes and villains, new and old. Duncan, Jeff, and Sloan guide the way. In the world of EDH we play.
Thank you for joining us once again at the Commander's Pod. I am Sloan, joined by...
Jeff, what's up?
Well, I was staring at him because we don't have Duncan again. Still alive. Still
Yes.
very much alive.
Yep.
Still very much on this side of the crust of the
That's
earth.
right. Yeah. Prayers are not needed.
He's
okay.
alive. So we will see him on the next episode. He will be back, I promise. But with that being said, thank you for joining us, coming back and hanging out with me and Jeff as we stumble through another episode without Duncan, our leader, our fearless beacon of light on all of these episodes that
Wow.
takes care of everything.
Yeah.
Okay, I
He
think he's
does
done
do all these things smoothly, so that
Yeah.
is helpful.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think he's done listening now, though. We're going to have a lot more fun now that he's not here. Now that he's not listening anymore. We're going to go through our normal topics. We're going to do a little bit of Counterspell, a little bit of what is triggering Jeff, followed by today's main topic, aspects of Commander. And last but not least, the social aspects of Commander. Last but not least, pro tips for beginners by a non-pro.
Yes.
And then we'll wrap up the show for you. But first and foremost, we're going to start with the Counterspell. How do you mulligan? So we as a play group kind of have a rule, house rule, if you want to call it,
Yeah.
where if you can show your hand and say, listen, I got no lands, we'll let you do another free mulligan. We're not competitive players. We're not playing for, any kind of money or any tournament status or anything. No league. We're just there to have a good time and have fun. So normally if we're playing at the house and we're having, we shuffle, we do our first mulligan, we go to do our second mulligan, no lands again, we kind of just tilt our hands.
Or
say,
even just one.
Yeah, or even just one.
Sometimes if you just have two, we'll still
Yeah.
let you mulligan again. The
Yeah.
goal is to have a fun play experience.
Right,
And when someone
absolutely.
has no lands, it's not fun for anyone.
Yeah, and I mean it's definitely a miserable experience for everyone involved, not just the guy who doesn't have lands. Because then, as we've talked about before, everyone kind of feels bad for beating up that guy because he's not doing anything because he can't do anything.
I think the caveat would be, I think we talked last week about how one person sometimes has like 27 lands in their deck.
Yeah,
If that's the case, we may be more like, yeah, you're going to have to, look, 27 lands, bro. You're going to, sorry, you got no lands. You need to put more lands in your deck type of deal.
right.
But if you have a reasonable amount of lands and you can show us there's no lands in there or not enough, we'll just let you mulligan again. No big deal.
Right, absolutely. And so with that, we'll kind of go over the official rule for mulligan so you guys understand that the London mulligan is what it's called. Draw a new hand of 7 as a mulligan each time, and then you get to keep a certain number of cards equal to the number of times that you've mulliganed. So you lose one card
For every time you
for every
mulligan,
time
you
mulligan,
lose a card.
You lose a card
Yes.
is what I meant. So you put it back on the bottom of your library, and then play would continue. So hypothetically, in a 4-man pod, you get one free mulligan, and then after that free mulligan, if you have to mulligan again, you go down to 6 cards, but you get to pick the 6 out of the 7 you just drew, and then you put 1 on the bottom. If you have to mulligan again, same thing. You get to pick 5 of the 7, then 4, then 3.
And one of the things we're going to talk about in the triggering section, so I won't talk about it a ton right now, is what we do to cut down on time too. Is in our mulligan rule, you don't have to reshuffle. When you're past the first free mulligan, your extra mulligans, you're just drawing 7 cards off the top of your deck and putting them on the bottom.
Put the 7 on the bottom.
Because we don't have time to wait an hour for you to mulligan 5 times.
Right, and keep reshuffling.
That's wild. Yeah.
So, whatever.
But in this, you have to shuffle every time. In the official rules.
Yeah, in official rules, you do have to shuffle the whole deck and then draw your 7.
Yeah.
And then go down with per mulligan.
Yeah.
Drop a card. So after the first free. So that is the official rules. Your house rules, whatever you do, you can let us know. But we tend to just kind of, again, because we're always playing for more casual stuff. We'll do the free mulligans. And I even heard on one of the kind of like behind the scenes episodes of the Commanders, the Command Zone, when they do those recorded episodes where they show them playing, like even then they'll make sure everyone has a good starting hand because of course they want that gameplay to be good.
Sure.
So they'll make
and
sure.
yet, one of them continuously doesn't have lands, which is hilarious.
R.I.P. Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy Wong.
It's all right, man.
I don't know, dude, how he does it.
I definitely know how he's doing it since they got rid of his dock side and he was a red player. So I definitely don't know how he's doing it now.
Well, in one of the Command Zone episodes, I know we're off topic a little bit, he has a land in his hand and he discards the land and then thinks he's going to draw. That was his only land. Thinks he's going to draw back into it. And it's like 2 or 3 turns before he draws a land with drawing extra cards. So pretty sure he does it to himself, but that
Jimmy,
is still funny.
Man.
Yeah.
Jimmy, I feel you.
You would do that too, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Dude, I start with no land hand sometimes.
Yeah,
If I got the right man that rocks. I'm full send, baby.
So ridiculous.
I know it is silly. I've pulled back a lot, but sometimes I will say this. I will sometimes intentionally. I don't know if you do this. I guess we can kind of talk about this real quick. When I goldfish, I'll actually intentionally see. I'm going to start with 1 land. I just want to see how quickly I could recover if I needed to.
Yeah.
You know, because for example, we have some people that we play with that play Winds of Change, I think it's called. It's that 1-drop red. Everyone shuffles their hand into their library, draws 7 new cards. So you mulliganing and trying to get 3 lands in your hand might not do anything if someone turn 1 drops that, right? And
I
so,
guess, yeah, because you could end up with a 1 lander.
Exactly. And so I do like to sometimes when I goldfish just to try to intentionally start with 1 land in my hand and just to see what happens. I want to see if I could recover how well I could if I needed to.
So
you know.
I could do that.
Yeah.
But typically, if I'm goldfishing and I'm running into times I have 1 land, I change my deck because I shouldn't be getting 1 land in my hand based on the amount of lands I have in my deck. So I typically, if I'm goldfishing and that's happened a bunch of times and I keep getting 1 or 2 lands, I'm either adding more ramp or I'm adding more lands.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be that guy stuck there.
Yeah, for sure. So, but that's the official mulligan rule. That is how you are supposed to do it, and that's how we do it. Again, we're more casual, you know, and we want to have a fun time, and it's never fun sitting there watching other people play Magic. Trust me, speaking as a person who gets killed a lot first, it's not fun. So with that being said, though, let's go ahead and move into Jeff's triggers. What's got you?
Well, no, it's hard to be upset about anything because I'm thinking about all the times I've killed you on turn 3 or 4, and you're just so salty, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I do understand his reasoning why, but
I keep a mug on the table just so their tears can be drunk.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, what's triggering me is the amount of shuffling we have to do in this game. It's very annoying. So if you're ramping into lands, you know, and I tend to like to play green, it is so annoying. Even just the lands, you know, pay 1, sack it, go get a land. It takes forever. It is way too long. I know in like the online video games of the game, it's quicker because it's, you know, it's a computer.
Hit one button and just shuffle.
Right. But in real life, it takes forever. And I know we talked last week about like Ristic Study and asking to pay the 1. And frankly, I just want to play the game. I'm very annoyed by this whole shuffling all the time. If anybody out there has a better way to do this, like where you can avoid all this shuffling, I think that's I'd love to hear it.
Well, there is that machine. It only costs, I think, a measly $10,000.
What is that?
It's you literally put cards in it. I think it's meant for organizing, but you put cards in it and like it actually will read the cards and like organize them. But you can buy those same things that casinos have, and you put the cards in it, and it
I think it would
them.
ruin my cards.
Probably.
Yeah. No. Oh, look, it's faster. Oh, there's $300 gone.
Listen, you asked for solutions. I gave you one. It wasn't a great
sorry.
one.
I would like good solutions.
There you go. That's better.
I would like good solutions.
Much better worded. Yeah. No, one of the things I do if I goldfish a lot specifically, is when I'm done goldfishing, I'll actually take the lands out and I'll do the like the power shuffle where you make the stacks, but I'll have the lands in a separate one. And then I put the lands so that I know for a fact they're mixed up.
Yeah, so you cheat.
No, I don't cheat. Because what I do is I do the power shuffle, right? So I'll do like 1 pass of the power shuffle, then I'll put a land on each stack. Then I'll do like 2 more passes, then I'll put a land on each stack. And then I shuffle that.
You shuffle it all together.
And I shuffle it all together.
That's why it's not cheating, because you shuffle it all together.
Because I shuffle it all together. But I know for a fact that at least they were evenly distributed to begin with. Because the one downside, and Jeff knows this more than anybody with being the ramp player, if you do regular shuffles, you will go I mean, I don't know. It will take you like 15 mulligans before you find your lands, and then all you do is find lands.
Yeah,
you know?
and the thing that's tough too is like the best time to do some of that stuff, like especially with the sack lands, is right before the other person's turn, like right as their turn ends and your turn starts, right?
Right.
But that's not optimal. You need to do it when there's pauses in the game. So
Right.
because it's so laborious, you actually are encouraged to do your processes in the wrong order. Like, okay, I'm going to play Kodama's Reach. That's it. I'm fine. Let's move on. I'll do it on your turn. And I go and look for my land. But now they have lands that you can go get. Obviously, wouldn't work with Kodama's Reach, but actually affect the game, could phase things out, could do stuff.
The ones that say go get a forest, for example.
So it's becoming more difficult to do that because, it's just a challenge.
Yeah, what I will say is for those, when you're going to get those ones that aren't like specific, like go get a basic land. Obviously, you're not really going to do anything with basic land, so it's not that big of a deal. Especially if they come in tapped, like we're really not going to do anything.
Right.
But what I will say is like for some of the ones where you can go get something else, a lot of times I've seen some people, they try to announce the land they're going to go get. So everyone kind of knows ahead of time, like, okay, we know you're getting that land.
Yes.
Because you've announced it. Now, granted, some people don't know their decks that well.
Yeah, like Field of the Dead. If you're going to be like, hey, I'll do that somewhere during your turn, you're going to be adding things to the board. So you imagine someone's like, I'm going to wait till someone attacks me, and then I'm going to finish getting my land.
Right,
it's like, no, dude, you can't do that.
Exactly.
That's not right.
So, I mean, if you are going to, have these decks like Jeff, they're more ramp heavy and more land heavy, try to do a lot of the power shuffling. Like I said, I actually put the lands in a separate stack, and that way I know when I put them in each stack, I know they're spread out, and then I shuffle, which helps make it spread out a little bit better, I feel like. So we'll go ahead and roll right into the main topic for today, which is the social aspects of Commander. So this is something we've touched on before, but, there's a lot of things, obviously, that go into this. So it's something we could always kind of dip back into. But there's a couple of things I want to talk about that are in-game social aspects and then out-of-game social aspects. So the out-of-game social aspects, let's touch on that first. So the most notorious one is cleanliness. And it's so bad that they actually made a rule in tournaments. If you get someone complaining about your cleanliness, you can be DQ'd from a tournament. Like, that's how bad it got.
It makes me uncomfortable to be a part of this community where that's actually a problem. Like,
right. And the thing that's sad is,
if you're a golfer,
yeah,
that's really not an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, Chuck Daly, maybe, but for the most part, it's really not an issue. So,
yeah.
But I guess they do have dress codes and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, so like other, I don't want to call it sports, but like other, I guess, organized activities, there are certain things and certain rules and such you have to, are obligated to follow. It's a little disheartening that they have to make a "you need to be clean" rule for Magic.
That's wild.
It is wild,
guys. Be better. Holy cow!
Please, you're going into a shop. Usually, they're not, Walmarts. They're little hole in the wall shops.
Yeah.
Try to be there and present yourself in a clean manner. So, I understand.
Yeah.
That
tuck the butt crack, please.
Yeah.
Don't need to see that.
Yeah. And you don't need to,
this is not a plumber convention.
Yeah. You don't need to, be coming in covered head to toe with, muck and grime and whatever else, try to present yourself. It's a public place where other people will come to sit down and relax and just be courteous to other people around you.
Yeah.
So that is one of the first out of game social aspects of it. The next one I think I would touch bases on is going to be interactions, out of game interactions. So I kind of touched bases on it last episode, and when we did this previously, I myself am not a very outgoing person, despite my personality on the show. I'm very boisterous on the show because I've known Jeff a very long time. He's literally family.
In real life too. Just with the people you know.
Just with the people I know. I'm very outspoken and outgoing and ridiculous and full of shenanigans. But again, it's with the people I know and I'm very close with and I'm comfortable with. For the most part, any kind of new people, I'm not really going to go out of my way to meet you and stuff like that. A lot of times, if people come up to me and approach me, I'll be very nice and sociable, at least I think. No one's told me otherwise.
Yeah, you are.
And I'll be very courteous and nice, and make sure that I'm trying to present myself in a way that is respectable. But out of game conversations, if you are someone that is looking for a game to get into, you're going to a shop for the first time. If you're one of the regular people who attend that shop, like at our shop, there are people that when the door opens, there's a couple of people that always look. The two people that run the shop usually are behind the counter, and they say hello, welcome, anything we can help you with, and they'll greet you. And then there's people at the table that if it's your first time there, they'll say, hey, just so you know, where are you looking here to play? Like the people at the shop do that. And I do like the fact that their tables, their counter to check out and everything's right there. So they're right at the front door.
Right.
Good design. So, but what they will say is like, hey, what are you here to play? If they don't recognize you, myself and Jeff and Duncan and some of the other guys that are pretty regular there, they recognize us. So they know what we're there to do.
Yeah, they move their stuff to the extra chair so we can't sit there. They're like, I don't want to play with these guys.
Flex.
Yeah.
But as much as you can for nerds. But anyways, they'll actually ask, hey, what are you guys here? What are you looking for? What can we help you with? They're like, oh, well, we're here to play Warhammer. Okay, well, Warhammer starts at this time. It's those tables in the back. There's terrain underneath.
Right, they reach out to others.
Right.
What you're saying is
they
they reach out to others and make them feel comfortable, which is definitely an important part.
And for the tabletop aspect of the card games like Magic and such, they'll say, hey, oh, you're looking to play Magic, or you're playing Commander or Standard, what are you looking to play? And they'll actually point out to like Lizard or Andrew or even Duncan and say, hey, those guys are playing Commander. I think they're about to be done. See if they want to split off and make another, 3-man pod with you or something.
Right.
And, Duncan and Andrew and Lizard are the three main that I know that they kind of point out to. And they're always very welcoming, and they're always like, yeah, come sit down. We'll move over here. And, they'll get set up and sit down and do that. And so, at least from my experience, that's what I've seen when I go into that shop with.
Yeah, so be hospitable. I mean, that's what we're really talking about, is have that hospitable touch to yourself. And you have to practice that. But yeah, it's really good to make people feel welcome.
What's an out of game social?
Well, I think sort of on what you're talking about, but from the other direction.
Yeah.
When you're going to a shop, the people that are there are not just there for your entertainment. They're people. And they have lives.
As
things they care about.
What's
So
that song? I can't
it's
remember.
really good to say, what's your name? And then remember their name and then talk to them with their name.
Yeah.
It's a small thing. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
If you can't be bothered to learn someone's name and use their name, I don't know that you're ready to be out in the social area and maybe practice that a little bit more.
Go back to your little hermit
Now,
shell.
I struggle with my memories. We've joked about on this show
Right.
very many times because I got a lot running around up there in that squirrel cage. And I write it in my phone.
Yeah.
Okay. And I do the same thing if there's a waiter or waitress. I always try to get their
and
name.
I am
into my phone.
firsthand witness of this.
Yeah.
I watch him do it every time when we go out to eat together. A lot of times he'll write down the person, especially if it's a restaurant we know we're going to be sitting down for probably an hour long meal or so. He'll make sure he writes down their name in their phone, in his phone, in their phone. That'd be weird. In his phone.
Yep.
He writes down their name. So I do know he does this for a fact.
Yeah.
It is
Give me your
something.
phone. Let me write down your name. That'd be awesome. That'd be a really weird flex. Weird flex, dude.
Weird.
But no, that, and then I think the other part too is that we talked a few weeks ago about the social contract that sort of upholds all of our social norms and situations. One of those is that there is a trade of goods.
Right.
The shop is not there as a nonprofit. It's not just there for you to come hang out. The trade is that they will receive some sort of financial benefit
Right, from
that
you
can
being
pay
there.
the bills, can pay their house bill, can pay all the different things that they need to pay for.
Right.
And so if you go there, buy things from the shop.
Yeah.
If you're just going to go in there to trade, trading's great. Trade with your friends, trade all that stuff, but involve the shop in that somehow. Whether it's like, hey, I know I'm going to make a couple trades outside the shop. So when I come to the shop, I'm going to be ready to spend a little bit more money on some cards or some sodas or some, food, whatever it is. Just understand there is a social contract there that the use of the facility, although they may say has no costs associated with it,
Right, yeah.
because they're being kind
And
and
hospitable.
gracious and hospitable to their customers.
Right.
You're not actually a customer if you're not buying anything.
True, you're just
So you're just someone, I don't know.
that comes in their shop for free air conditioner and a bathroom.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
And then the other one on a non-in-game is the bathrooms. Yeah. So you need to be clean, and you need to leave the bathroom cleaner
Yeah.
than when you went into it. Let's not be disgusting.
Right.
Please, have a little bit of decorum, please.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that you need to get gloves and scrub down the bathroom every single time you use it and spend
Right.
45 minutes deep cleaning it.
Right.
However, someone shouldn't have to do that after you use the bathroom
That's right.
either.
Because
You know?
remember, there are ladies at these places
Yeah,
too.
a lot of these bathrooms
Would
are
you
meant for
do
both
that to your
people.
sister or your mom or your wife? I sure hope not.
I was gonna say,
maybe
be
you
careful.
would.
Be careful.
But you should not
Sticky
do that.
situation. Yeah. No, I mean, those are both like really good points, because myself specifically with like the going and like trying to spend money at the shops, I myself don't get to spend as much money on Magic as I would like to, at least as of now. Me and my wife we got 3 kids, so we got a lot of bills at the house and such. But with that being said, when I do go to the shop, I do try to do what I can. Like maybe I'll buy like a $5 card or a pack of cards.
Yeah.
And buying a pack of cards for $6 isn't gonna, ruin my entire life savings by any means. So I try to do what I can when I go in there. I don't buy something every time, because sometimes
I mean, think
just
about the
can't.
dollar
but-
exchange, right? If
Yeah.
you go see a movie, you're dropping, I don't know, what are they, $10 nowadays?
A ticket is like $12 to $15.
So let's say it's $12. We're going lower side,
Low side.
right? You buy a drink, you're probably at $20.
Yeah.
As ridiculous as that is. So you're $20 for an hour and a half to 2 hours and 15 minutes of enjoyment, right?
Right.
When you go to the shop, you might be there for 4 hours.
Yeah.
You can't spend $6
Yeah. They're.
that you're getting something for.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Come on.
furthermore, you actually might get more from them by spending that $6 and pull a $150 card.
Yeah.
So you actually might make
It
money.
seems like a good
going there.
exchange.
Yeah.
But let's move on to like the in-game stuff
Yeah,
too,
for
because
sure.
that affects people a
So-
lot also.
So the in-game one, and I wanted to bring this up because we did touch on it last week for a moment,
Yeah.
and we were supposed to talk about it a little bit more in depth, but I felt like it was a little bit more appropriate in this segment for this week,
Right.
which is why I didn't want to go into it too deep. So the first one is going to be scooping. There is actual rules for scooping in-game. The social part of it comes in this. Me personally, I have seen it happen. I don't know. I think Jeff has potentially seen this happen a couple times too. But there are times where you're in the middle of doing something and somebody gets upset because you decide to kill them and they feel like, I'm not an issue. I'm not the problem. This is stupid. And so in response, I'm going to scoop.
Yeah,
I'm
and
going
they're
to make you waste your time.
and also you might be getting resources from the attack that now you don't get.
Right. And so it's one of those things where we have the rule of we only scoop at sorcery speed. So you can only do it on your turn. And the other thing is too, we have what's called, the best way to describe it is a gentleman's scoop, where someone is, hey, I'm about to do this combo. Let me demonstrate it so you know I have it. Here's how it works. Is there anything you guys can do to stop this interaction? Nope. Great. We scoop. You win the game. Let's start another one.
Right.
So there is instant speed scoops that are acceptable. We're not saying you can't ever instant speed scoop, but that's basically because that person won the game. We just
Right.
don't want to watch them do the interaction for 45 minutes to win the game.
Correct.
So, so when it comes to scooping, I understand probably more than most. I am very passionate when it comes to sports and competitive things. I'm a very passionate person, and I'm someone that I very much put 100% into everything that I do. Good thing that didn't break. I just looked at the screen. It's not broken. Jeff just dropped his phone behind the table. So when there are times where, unfortunately, my emotions have gotten the better of me, and I've had to, with my tail between my legs, go back and apologize to people for overreacting and being, someone that I don't wish to be. But I am someone that's very competitive, and I do have a deep desire that every single time I step into any competitive aspect, Magic, disc golf, video games, I am going to win. Period.
Arguments.
arguments,
Yeah.
I am going to win. There is
Yes.
no other end to this except for me winning.
Right.
Now, luckily, and thankfully, I have a beautiful wife and really good friends and a really great church that I go to that has helped me at least temper that a lot.
Yeah, you've come a long way.
Yeah. And so speaking of as the person that has had these frustrations, I understand the urge to want to, I guess, nicely
Hulk
say,
out.
yeah, screw somebody over because of
Yeah.
my frustration. And not directly because of me, but it is something that we've talked about is if you want to be that type of person and you want to instant speed scoop to try to make people lose benefits, we have decided you can do that, but we're not going to make the person that's making this play suffer. And so we have decided as a group just to ignore your scoop as if it didn't happen and let that person redo whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah, or give them the benefits they would have got.
Or give them the benefits they would have gotten.
Because you'd be like, well, my card's gone. Well, we can proxy one.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need you.
And again, you instant speed scooping to try to prevent him from getting benefits because that's not fair to him. You're upset about something because you feel like you're being targeted. That's on you.
Right.
Whether you are or aren't, that's not a proper response. And so the instant scoop is a social aspect of the game in-game that is kind of a taboo. A lot of people have different feelings and opinions on it. There's some people that say, I can scoop whenever I want to.
That's right.
And I believe you and Duncan looked up the rules for scooping.
We did at some point. Duncan probably remembers them. I don't.
Yeah, and I think there is actual rules about scooping.
There probably is, but at the end of the day, the person's right. They can do whatever they want to do because even if there's a rule, they could just break the rule.
Yeah, I mean.
But that's cool, and our response to that can just be great. So we're not going to play with you again.
Right.
And other people aren't going to want to play with you. So that's not a very fun thing to do. But a good transition into what I would say on this is a good transition point because I don't know if I've talked about it before, but I actually have a counseling degree. So I graduated college with a counseling degree. And I own a business now. It's not counseling, which is sort of weird.
Ironic.
But as it turns out that understanding people is very important in business.
Yeah.
So it actually applies a lot. And what I would say is one of the most important social aspects to understand if you want to be successful navigating social situations is de-escalate.
Right.
Understanding how to de-escalate situations. And that requires a calmness within yourself to go, okay, this person's freaking out and what they're doing is wrong, right?
Right.
So within us, we go, what they're doing is wrong, so I get to be upset. Or they're wrong, so I don't have to change, they have to change. Or they're wrong, so I can insult them and attack them. And all those things.
I'm on the high ground, and this is their fault.
Yeah.
This is beneath me.
And all of that is true.
Right.
100% true.
Right.
It will do you no good. Because that person, it needs to be de-escalated. And not just the person, but maybe the situation in general needs to de-escalate.
Yeah.
And there's tons of stuff you can look up online on it, but learn how to de-escalate situations. It won't just make you better at playing Magic socially. It'll make you better in your life. But learn how to step aside, sometimes remove yourself from the situation, or just ask questions. That's the best way to de-escalate something. It's just to ask questions. Let them talk it out.
Yeah.
When they're explaining what's going on for themselves, they're going to be angry. But once they've got it out of their system, they're going to calm down a little.
Yeah, hopefully.
And if they don't, asking questions is the least of the worries at that point, right?
Yeah.
But you're trying. So I'd say learn to de-escalate. The best way to do that is to ask questions. Keep yourself calm. Understand that that person's going through something and that Magic might be less important at that point. Johnny, we're talking about, you growing as a person through these interactions. Has it made you a better father?
Yeah, absolutely.
Has it made you a better husband?
I'd say so. Yeah.
And so you're going to choose a moment where, I have a chance to win this game. It's a game.
Right.
You have a chance to make this person a better father, mother, brother, sister, person. And you're going to miss that opportunity because they treated you unfair in a game?
Yeah.
Come on, grow up.
Yeah.
Honestly, just grow up. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and so a non-Magic kind of example of this just happened, I want to say either yesterday or the day before at work. I had to call this customer for I do scheduling for our sales department, so I had to call this guy for a sales call. But on the notes from the technician, he said customer's really upset that he spent $1,400 for a repair, and 4 months later is a leak now. So
Yeah.
it said that in the notes. So I'm like, okay. So I call him up and I ask him, and he's not yelling, he's not cursing, but he's very heated. You can tell his all
tone.
of his tone and all of his sentences are very
aggressive.
right? And so I'm talking to him, I'm listening to him, and I said, well, sir, can I just explain to you where I'm coming from? And he said, fine. And I said, well, just so you know, I have the uncomfortable and awkward pleasure of believing you 100% and my technician 100%, which means I'm believing 200%. I have no way to not believe what you're saying is true and what my technician is saying is true, because all I can do is rely on his notes and rely on your words. And I simply said to the gentleman, I said, listen, I'm not going to say that the system didn't have a leak in August when we came out there and did the repair. What I can say is that in his notes, he did the repair, he checked all the functions, and everything was running according to manufacturer specifications.
Right.
I'm not going to say it wasn't leaking in August. However, can you at least potentially admit that there is a chance that it wasn't leaking in August and it could have started leaking after?
Right.
And he sat there and was quiet for about 20 to 25 seconds, which seemed like 10 minutes. But he just said, you know, that sure, I guess that could possibly happen. And it's just in that moment, I think he finally kind of realized, his tone kind of dropped down. He realized, you know what, maybe I'm, over exaggerated, a little excited because I spent $1,400 and now I need a $5,000 repair.
Yeah. So there's two parts to that. One of them is that you're going to ask for their help. So when you say, can you do this for me?
Right.
You're asking for their help. That's always a good thing. The second thing is you did it in this situation. It's called mirroring.
Right.
When you're communicating a tone that's lower and you're communicating a certain type of behavior, people tend to follow that. So like if you're in a social situation in Magic and someone's starting to get a little bit upset, if your face looks angry, you're not de-escalating. If you genuinely look at them and say, hey man, I'm sorry, that sucks. Right? Mirror the thing and then bring it back, a smile. So it actually, when you smile, you've probably seen this with kids before. When you smile to a kid, they have less ability to control themselves. They smile back.
Yeah.
Pete, you naturally want to smile back at someone. That's human nature. And that releases certain things in your body that makes you happier.
Right.
And so, mirroring, asking it for their help, de-escalating, doing those different type of things will really help you be successful. And then the other thing, like we talked about at the beginning, know their name, be hospitable. If you do those type of things in these social situations, you're going to do pretty well for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like Jeff was saying, like those are things that you can take outside of Magic that will help you in life too. So a couple more in-game ones, for example, is try to be socially aware of the game and the people in the game. Now, I know we all have cell phones. And in our shop, there's TVs and there's other things going on. Yep. And I'm not saying that you have to got off all of reality while you're playing Magic, because no one can do that. I think that's physically impossible, right?
But maybe on your turn.
Yeah, like,
maybe you could do it on your turn. Like, it's like
just Sloan's turn. Everyone else's turn, be queued in for. But,
that's right.
But no. So, I mean, one of those things is, try to make sure you're being aware, because one of the things I will say, again, I've been on both sides. I've been guilty of it and I've watched other people do it. Is like when you're sitting down and people, again, are spending time either away from their family to come play this game with you and spend time with you as a friend, it is sometimes a little disheartening when you're spending time doing this and it seems like they're not even paying attention.
Right.
And again, that's a social thing, because especially if you're new to a shop and you're going there for the first time, you don't know anybody. It feels a little awkward if like you're playing the game and the other person's not even paying attention to you. And they're like, oh, what did you do? It's like, well, that's not really going to encourage you to come back to that shop.
Also, you're not playing a video game. You are there to show off the stuff your deck can do.
Yeah.
So you want other people to go, oh, that's cool. Oh, that card's cool. Oh, where's that?
What
so
does
you're
that
not
even
doing
do?
any of that, and all you care about is what you're doing. That's just selfish.
Right.
Make a big deal about the things they're doing. We've talked about that before in the diplomacy sections we've discussed.
Right.
But it's a good point.
I think non-diplomatically even, especially for me, being able to play with some of the guys that have a much broader collection than I do, it's cool being able to see cards and be like, that is a cool card. I've never seen that card before, or I can't believe I never thought of how to use that card.
Yeah, I got
You know?
we got a buddy at church who has Tabernacle of Pendervale or whatever
Yeah.
it is. It's like thousands and thousands
Yeah.
of dollars. It
Yeah.
was pretty cool to play with that card.
Yeah, it's cool to see that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So, you know, I mean, try to be aware as you can in the games and make sure you're, you know, interacting with the other players too. Obviously, don't be so loud and disruptive that if whoever's taking their turn can't take their turn, and make sure they're being able to announce what they're doing. But
By
you
the
know,
way,
make sure
that
you're being
friend,
interactive.
his name is Fox.
Yeah, Fox.
And actually, as I say that, because we should just say that because he plays down at
Dark Side.
Dark Side, and he plays in a lot of the tournaments there
Yeah,
at
the
Dark
Friday
Side,
Night
and
Magic.
he wins a lot of them.
Yes, he
so
does.
some of the listeners, if they're local, may actually know Fox.
Yeah, if you play up
And
at
he
in
has
Sarasota.
He has the most insane collection out of anyone I know.
Yeah, and he is. You talk about a magic guru. That
Yeah.
guy knows so much about magic. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's sickening.
We should get him on the show.
We
sometime.
definitely should have
Yeah.
him come on here and talk to us and go through some stuff because he would be able to tell us stuff that probably none
Yeah,
of us
because
even
he's
know.
been collecting forever, and he
Yeah.
collects like every set
Yeah,
sealed.
yeah,
Like he has an insane collection. So
right, for sure. So one of the other social things, and Jeff kind of just mentioned it real quick, was politics. So
Mhm.
we have varying opinions on politics in
Yep.
games. Mine is I really don't politic. I'm not going to try to make deals with anybody because in my personal opinion, you're trying to make a deal, you're trying to win the game.
Yeah, and my thing is if I'm playing, I'm politicking
Yeah, right. So
from the moment I'm starting.
yeah, and just to kind of show you the social aspect, like we have very different play styles, but yet we still play together when Jeff pulls himself away from his lazy boy in basketball long enough to play.
Right, because that's what I'm doing.
Listen, you had a chance to go 2 weekends ago, and you
Yeah.
bailed on me last minute to go watch basketball. So
Okay, to be fair,
And-
what that was my wife and kids were not home.
right,
And I had a moment to have the house for a few hours
You had a
where
moment
I
to
could
play
watch a
Magic.
basketball game without being interrupted.
you had a
I
moment to play
100% took
you had
that.
a moment to play
Yeah,
Magic,
yeah.
and you chose basketball. So
Yes.
you're lazy boy in basketball. That's what it is.
To
So
not be bothered by human beings.
Yeah.
Because as much as I talk about all this stuff, I sometimes do need to recharge from all of it.
yeah,
yes.
Jeff at work, he does deal with, unfortunately, usually the worst of our customer base is a lot of times what Jeff has to deal
The
with.
most challenging. They're not bad. I'm thankful for every one of them.
Matter of opinion, but
Yeah.
we'll move on. Yeah, so the political side of it, if you're not someone like myself who does politics, if someone asks you for a deal to say, what I say usually is, listen, I can't make any deals because I don't know what you're about to do because that might change what I
Or you'll
think.
say something like, hey, do what you got to do.
Yep,
Yep.
do what you got to do.
Yeah.
If you think you need to kill me, I'm not going to convince you otherwise. I don't think I'm the issue right now, but you do you, boo. Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
stop you. And Jeff, on the other hand, is someone who very much likes to kind of like the puppeteer, have strings out amongst the world and
Yeah.
pulling when he needs to, and at the very last moment pulls the game out from everybody. So
Yeah.
you know, when it comes to politicking, I'm very anti. But again, I still let people talk and interact. And if they want to politic and they want to discuss stuff, you know, go for it. Like I'm not going to stop you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that kind of guy. If people want to do that, go for it. If that's how you play Magic, have fun with it. I'm just don't involve me. I'm not going to do it.
I would say with that in the politicking though, because the puppeteering, there are different ways to do it, right?
Yeah.
There's a way where you're just manipulating everyone
Yeah,
the entire
lying.
time. Or
We're not
lying or
actual
doing those type of
politicians.
things.
Don't lie.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's another way where like it's sort of like the hugs deck. Like if someone has a hugs deck,
Right.
they're giving you cards, they're giving you stuff. But what they are doing is trying to lay back in the background and they have a plan to win.
Yeah.
And maybe they're giving you stuff, but the stuff they're giving you is good, but it's benefiting them more than it's benefiting you.
Right.
That's the type of politicking I do, where like you can still beat me through my politics,
Right.
but I'm getting myself a little bit of advantages here and there that help me, and they maybe give me a 5 to 7% chance to win over other people who don't do it. It's not the type of stuff where I'm manipulating, tricking.
Yeah.
Like that type of stuff, guys, it might win you some games. It's going to lose you friends, and it's not worth doing.
Yeah, and
It's not
again,
worth it.
that comes back to the social aspect of it. Do you really want to win more than you want to have friends to be able to continue to play this game with?
Right.
Is being the winner of this one game in this one moment that's not going to do anything for you.
Right.
No one's going to stand up and applaud you and pay you $10,000 for winning this game.
Right.
You know, unless you're in the pro
Which,
scene.
by the way, if you're in the tournament, hey, do what you got to do.
Yeah, again, we're talking about casual
But
play.
in this type of environment, you do this so often. If you think you're going to go into it, you're going to lie, you're going to manipulate, you're going to trick people. If you think, oh, it's just a game, I'm just going to do it there. That's not how life works.
Yeah.
If you're doing it there, you're going to do it in business. You're going to do it in life. You're going to do it in relationships, and you might win at Magic, but you're going to lose everywhere else.
Yeah.
And so if that's how you want to be, hey, I can't stop you, but I would encourage you not to be that way.
Yeah, and then I would probably say the last in-game social thing to be aware of is, people allowing people to take time, right? I know that's something we've touched on before. We talked about you don't want to be the person, because this is very much, in my opinion, one of the most two-sided arguments you could ever possibly have.
Sure. Yeah,
There's people who want your turn to be sub 1 minute.
Yep.
Every single time, whether it's turn 1 or turn 75. And then there's people who think I can take an hour and a half if I want to.
Yes.
On one single turn.
Two extremes.
Yeah. But for the most part, it's one of those things where there's always something to be thinking about. One, brand new deck. This is the first time they're piloting it out in the wild.
Right.
Give them a chance. Let them try to make sure they're remembering their triggers and they're remembering how things interact. I am notorious for being someone that reminds people of things. I can't help it. There's something inside of me. It's very hard for me not to do it.
I actually think it's really helpful. It's the more endearing part of your play style. With all the other parts that aren't endearing.
Well, and it is one of those things where I've even a couple of times with Duncan and Jeff and some other people.
With me a lot. He reminds me a lot.
Not just that. I even say, real quick, do it this way.
Yes.
That's when you get the most benefit.
Yeah.
And I've even done it to, if you do it this way, you win the game. To that point. And a lot of that does have to do with, one, I want to make sure people are not losing because of something they may have just missed or forgotten. That's always a feel bad. I won because you had 6 triggers and you forgot 3 of them.
Plus, if I could, let me just take a moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so Johnny does that. He says, hey, if you do this, you win.
Yeah.
Right? So Johnny loses at the game,
right,
but wins at life because you're a helper, you know the game more, you figured out a cool thing. If you count up all the ways you won versus the fact that you just lost the game, at the end of it, you were really the winner. You walked out of that situation as the winner. And I think that's important to understand too, is that it's just a game. But
yeah, and I feel like that's part of this social part is, I feel like for that person, if I'm helping them better their gameplay and help them get better with piloting that deck, that's something that's going to make them keep falling in love with this game, right? And that's what we want ultimately.
Right.
We want people to keep coming back to this game and to keep loving it and keep playing it. And so allowing people, when it's their turn, to make sure they're having time to do their triggers and stuff like that, and helping people. And if they miss something, unfortunately, there have been times at the shop where I hear people getting yelled at because they did something wrong and they weren't paying attention. And it's like, no, you can't do that. I said you can't do this. I've said it 4 times. Why aren't you listening? And they're getting kind of yelled at by this person. It's like, well, let's calm down. One, it's a game. Let's de-escalate. It's a game. Secondly, telling her no for a 4th time is no different than you asking for the 10th time. Are you paying 1 for that?
That's a good point.
So it's one of those things where, and
also how great are you that you can't say things more than once? I am so impressive and powerful and worthy of your adulation that
I never have to
repeat myself.
I never need being reminded.
Good grief. Have you had children? Oh my or have you worked in a business or led anyone ever?
Oh, man.
You have to say the same thing over and over again. That's basically life. Saying the same good advice over and over again, hoping someone will listen. It's just, maybe part of this social thing is have a more reasonable view of yourself. Be humble.
Yeah. Remember, you were new. You didn't know anything at one point in this game.
Some could argue you don't know anything right now. Right? You think you know a lot.
Right.
Some other dude walks in, he's like, you know nothing. Let me tell you all the stuff I know.
Right.
Just be humble.
Yeah. I mean, it's guys, honestly, it's one of those things. There's social aspects in the game, there's social aspects out of the game.
Yeah.
But, if you can try to, even if you're someone that, like Jeff said, you're at least humble enough to say, you know what, I'm not good at this part. Let me try focusing on this part for a while. Let me see if I can get better at this.
Yeah.
I will tell you something. Like Jeff said, he's noticed the growth that I've made as a person. And luckily, like I said, I've known Jeff for 20 years now, almost, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which seems crazy to say, but it's pretty close to about 20 years now I've known Jeff. And so it's one of those things where people that you play with will hopefully, if they notice it, they'll say, hey, just want to let you know, you're doing really good at, remembering your triggers, by the way. And you're doing a good job of letting other people, helping them about that. It's one of those things that eventually people can't get mad at you for just being helpful and being better.
Let's end it with this advice. Okay, well, look at it. Just be better.
All right,
Yep, that's it.
So, wrapping it up with the pro tips for beginners from a non-pro. Real quick about the whole social aspect. If you're like myself, you're a little bit more reserved and a little more shy when you're going to a new shop. Luckily, I've been blessed with two great friends, Jeff and Duncan, that are a little more outgoing than me. And I would advise you to maybe try to piggyback off of their social ability. One of the things that I always struggle with is just walking up to a random stranger and beginning a conversation. But once the conversation gets started, I usually feel a little bit more comfortable about adding input and, introducing myself and such. And so because of Duncan and Jeff, I have made the friends like Andrew and Lizard.
And you're extremely likable. Once you open up, people tend to really like you. So
yeah, which is somewhat helpful, I would say. So,
yeah,
but
not everybody can do that.
Yeah, I mean, so it's one of those things that if you have friends that they're a little bit more outgoing, they're also in the Magic, maybe go to the shop with them and let them kind of lead the conversation and kind of just, as it were, ride their coattails, kind of ride their coattails in the social situations. And then maybe hopefully you'll start making friends through them by making friends. And like I said, Lizard and Andrew are the two first that come to mind that I have now made and become pretty good friends with.
Yeah, so and kill Andrew first and ask Lizard to pay the one. Is he going to pay the one?
The other, I'll say this real quick and then we'll go. If you ever do get a chance to go down to the shop in Port Charlotte and meet Lizard, ask him about his favorite card, Temple of the False God. That's his favorite question.
I think I should put that in my decks when I go down there.
Oh, dude, I
can tutor up. I'll put in ways
tell you how many times
to troll him.
I can't tell you how many times he's looked at me. He goes like, if you do not keep your hand on that card, I might steal it and burn it.
Yeah,
I will do it so fast. So, but guys, that is all we have for this week. Again, Duncan very much alive. We'll be back next week.
Yes.
Very much still on this side of the earth. And
wink.
Wink. And but we hope you guys had a good time with me and Jeff on these couple of episodes where just me and him being able to hang out and talk. We want to take a moment to thank Jack from Info Pilgrims for helping with editing and producing and being a pretty okay guy. Mm-hmm. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, you can email us, cast@commanderspod.com. You can visit our website, commanderspod.com, or go to Patreon, patreon.com/commanderspod. Join the Patreon, support us. We love doing this stuff. We love hanging out with you guys and being able to talk about this dorky, nerdy game called Magic and all the IPs that we get to now start enjoying. And, maybe one day we'll record a Wizards versus, Transformers versus dinosaurs versus
We'll do something.
robot.
And then this last part, can we end it off a little different this time?
Yeah, go for it.
It's just be better.
Yep. Hey, be better.
Yep.
Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold, with heroes and villains, new and old. Duncan, Jeff, and Sloan guide the way in the world of E-Days we play. So tune in, friends, let's draw and go. In the Commander's Pod, the love will show. From our decks to yours, we share the spark in this world of magic. We'll leave a mark.